It is the Fantasy Rugby Yanks. My name is Jared Dyke. I wanted to say it's stupid and let's move on, but then you kept going.
I'm Ben Glauser. I don't like any way anybody handled that.
Collusion.
Welcome back, everybody. It's the Fantasy Rugby Yanks. I'm Catherine Dyke.
And I'm Jess Glauser.
I said it wrong.
No, you didn't.
Oh,
You're fine.
What was that?
You're fine.
What kind of silliness is this?
I don't know. What is silliness?
I don't
It's
know.
episode 200. That's what kind of silliness it is.
Yeah, I know. I'm in. I'm. Oh, hi. We have.
Yeah, Ben and I are here too.
We have
So
ladies
don't
with
worry.
us.
Yeah, we got the significant others involved in
Ladies.
this act, so
Honest to God, ladies, that we have actually married.
people that want to spend time with us.
Yes, these are the women that chose us as spouses. So
Yeah.
if you'd always wanted to know what, now you'll find. Maybe you'll find out.
Yeah, you'll find out now.
Hopefully, it'll make sense by the end.
Yeah, probably. So this is a little different than episode 100, but I figured 200 would be something different. I'm not gonna do the same thing every time. You know?
No, of course not. And shit, I didn't think we would. I mean, I never really. I don't think about a number. I'm not like, oh, I hope we get to 500 and whatever. It's just cool to mark. And yes, let's do silly things when we hit those big digits. I did not, as I said, I was talking about embroidering the 200th episode like date and location in my shirt for the evening. But
No,
I decided
to get that
against
done.
I'd love to see you embroider.
You mean attempt to embroider?
Yeah, with a needle in general, quite frankly.
He's all thumbs. No way. Never happening.
I imagine
Yeah.
a lot of blood.
Yeah.
I don't
Like
like
what
needles.
blows when you split your nose open.
Yeah. Hmm.
That's my guess. All right. So yeah, last time we had George help us out. This time we decided let's have the ladies help us out because they've always let us do this and really don't bat too many eyes about it unless there's like something seriously going on with us, like or we're like on vacation, which also happens.
Yep. Yeah. But they're usually like, oh yeah, it's pod night. That's right. So we're doing XYZ. And
right. That's usually
I try to pick nights when there's some trashy TV on or something that I don't, it's one of those we can go our separate ways nights. Is always nice.
It used to be
Well, it's
Vanderpump
good to hear.
Rules.
Yeah.
It's good to hear both sides of the podcast this time because I can usually just hear Jared's half.
which is usually not that good. Let's be honest about it. But or the days I'm going to yell, which is also
But
not
yeah.
Well, let's put it this way though: if she can hear Ben, there's definitely a problem.
Likely.
The days
He's
that
pretty
happen.
loud, though. He's pretty loud.
Yeah, Jess, do you hear me when I'm here? Can you hear me rant and rave?
It depends on if the doors open or close, like if you have the gate. But I can usually hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it usually as bad as you think?
I can't hear all the details, but I can definitely tell when it gets loud.
I don't.
I think
get
it's probably
loud.
the beer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The later it goes, the louder it gets.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. 'Cause you just, like, especially if I've had two, like if I crack a second
Yeah.
one, forget it. We're off to the races. This is going to be ridiculous.
Well, I want to
Or
crack
after-
mine because you always start with this. So
Yeah, go ahead.
took me a
Yeah.
minute. Let's
Yeah.
see. if I can get it.
You can do it. I believe in you. See, look at that.
There we go.
Nice.
All right, away we go. Cool. All right. Do we want to start with a question, Ben?
Sure. So we're gonna go dip in from the
Twitter questions.
Twitter questions. Cool. What is the week that will stick in your mind as your greatest comeback win, or just win in general, or the one that annoyed you way more than fantasy rugby ever should?
That's from Stu. Our good buddy Stu, the man known as Yippee Try, I believe.
Yeah.
in our leagues. So do you remember the weekend before you and I went on the pod with Sam? For the FRD pod.
Mhm.
And I got bit by Tom Collins getting a red card. And then
Yes.
Sean
Yes.
Maitland got dropped from the Saracens team, and
Right.
Shagan got thrown in. I had Maitland in my lineup. If Maitland had even done a fraction of what Shagan did, the red card would have been totally irrelevant, and I would have won. But that fucking shit happened. So that one annoys the hell out of me, and I won't forget it. Mostly because we went on the pod with Sam as well, which of course I had to tell the story there too. So for me, that's probably the most annoying one. And then there was the one, I think the first time I won, I think it was the first time either I won a league in FRD or the first time I won Champions League in Prem. I was behind at halftime, and I was behind big, and somehow I won. And I don't remember who the hell I was against. I think it was against Mark, which would sound right because apparently I'm his bogey. But yeah, I remember that's the only ones that come to me. Your better weekends have come in the rugby mag though, Ben.
Exactly. Like the times when I finished top of the because that's always been my more favorite competition.
Right.
So yeah, it was some of those where
like top 5 or something like that.
I did last year, yeah. So I missed
stupid.
I miss it a lot.
I can't believe you got that high.
I can. Because I did like I I mean I can't either actually. It's tough up there. Like there's some, especially once you get to the later rounds, it's like you make one mistake and
because everyone's team is very similar and everyone knows everyone knows the secret guys to get into their team now, and nobody knows, and you have to, we all know the guys to avoid, and nobody counts on the guys that have been going week in and week out for you to just bomb out.
Right. And ultimately, like I don't have any, I can't say that there's memorable ones, because just like when I'm playing, like the ones that hurt the most of the one, you remember them, but like the ones that you're late, like it's a last second win or last second, like especially in like FRD, when then the scores change drastically, and you could think like all the way through Monday that hey, I won, and then you find out Tuesday you lost, and it's like, I had too many of those. I had too many of those where it's like I get both ways, where it's just like it's kind of just another game at that point. It's a win or a loss.
And I mean, it didn't help that the final.
It is more, but to your point though, it's more instances where it's like it was my own goddamn fault.
Yep.
Like I started the wrong, like especially in a TRM thing where I started the wrong player, or who like got dropped or something like that, or I made all my transfers and someone dropped and I just had to fucking stare at a 0 like that. Yeah, those stick out.
Kicking the nuts. Any questions from you two? I bet you someone would want to know what you guys want to know.
I don't know. I didn't prepare anything ahead of time.
That's fine. Nobody asked you to.
Jess, do you have one for him?
I am thinking.
Questions.
Okay, so between the two of you, who do you think is the better, like fantasy rugby, like whatever it is, a player, organizer? Who does it better?
Me, because I do better at both, and Ben's only good at one.
Yeah, but we both won the Champions League.
That's actually true. I didn't think about that. The Champions League, we both have once each now.
So but yeah, no, we definitely have our strong suits. I'm better at the salary cap ones.
Oh,
Jared's better at the drafting ones.
Because I know, Ben, you play a lot of fantasy football, and you don't often win those either. So I was wondering if you're any better at the rugby than you are at the football.
Yeah, I am better at fantasy. Fantasy rugby is I'm better at than fantasy football, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There are a lot of football leagues you play.
Right. That's true. Yeah, there's a lot. It's a heavier contingent in number of people that play NFL fantasy as opposed to like because for obvious reasons, like it's just more popular, and this, so you end up with a lot of the same guys you play against. So you know the ones that you're going to shit talk, and you know the ones that are going to be a challenge. So
Right.
you can just kind of put it on the back burner every once in a while. But yeah, it's not as I guess the challenge comes with the draft ones when you know the opponent so well, and you know what their thinking is, and you know they're going to be tough. So that is a challenge in itself. But yeah, with a wider array of people playing NFL, it's easier to like maybe just pick up a win against someone that's only playing casually. People that are playing FRD are not really playing casually. They're
No,
They
they're
have to
pedal to
know.
the metal full go.
Yeah.
right. There's
So-
there's and that is the thing. There's not as much of the, like, you can join a rando league in fantasy football and just wreck shop because you might pay attention a little bit more than someone else or whatever. But like, no, in rugby, like the people who are on the FRD are the ones who are doing it day in, day out. So it's like it's much more of a competition. Like it,
So
yeah.
when it comes to drafting, do you think it's easier or harder to draft the rugby than it is football?
Harder.
Like to get a good
It's a
team?
lot harder.
Why?
Because you like, number one, then because we've had this conversation a couple times with other people amongst, it's the news on players is so scarce in rugby as opposed to football. Like, you know, if some Joe Schmo from Kansas City has a bad pinky toe and is and is nursing it for 3 weeks and how it's going to affect him. There are many times we haven't got a clue someone's got an injury long term at that, and all of a sudden we find it out like 2 weeks after we picked them up, like, shit, they're out for the season,
Right. And then there's certain things where like you just can't know. And it's you don't know going into a season who, like, when in the NFL they publish depth charts. And you know exactly who's playing each game, because it's like, I know Patrick Mahomes is going to be the quarterback week 1, week 10, week 16, doesn't matter.
Well, he's healthy.
Right. But like in in rugby, yeah, if I draft like an Owen Farrell, well, I know he's going to be gone for a certain amount of time, but I also know he's going to need rest. And then I also know he's going to get other rest anyway. Like, you don't know. There's always a question of how much is so-and-so actually going to play. And then there's like the sleepers in football where it's like, yeah, I'm going to get this guy and maybe he'll start a couple games and he'll have a couple of breakouts when I need him. In rugby, you just never know what former sub has broken through and is now going to be a starter, and not only that, but a star. And then if a team changes a fly half, okay, well, is that going to make them better or worse? Well, we've seen 12s and 13s that have been dynamite and suddenly they're fucking useless.
Yep.
So it's a lot harder to know. In football, you get a good wide receiver, it doesn't matter what team you put him on, he's going to put up numbers. But in rugby, it's that much more. Yeah.
And
Team
there are
chemistry.
some players that will do it all, that will do it across the board no matter where they go. But
but like, you can take a guy who's a first round
combination.
Right. But if you take a guy a first round because he played well last year, it doesn't mean he's going to play at all this year. Like, sometimes they just don't play anymore.
What was his butt? Tuivasa-Sheck from the Blues.
Yeah.
A ghost this year. Didn't play much.
Yep.
When he played, he was poo. And he would have been a first round pick last year, and he was this year.
Right. Caleb Clark, same thing. He'd be like a first or second round pick. Talea he was a first rounder, but it was kind of one of those later ones. But if you knew, he'd have been like number 1, maybe, after Mwanga. But
match the Blues scoring. I think he set the Blues.
Yeah, he was
try scoring.
He was their try scoring. Like,
no, but like, I'm trying to think like historically. I think he was
he may have been
either equal or top most tries in the season for the Blues. So pretty good. Yeah, but it's hard. It is,
and it makes it harder from here because we don't see much in that.
We see even less news over here. Yeah,
right.
That's true. As opposed to somebody knows who to follow for certain news down in Christchurch, New Zealand, to follow the Crusaders.
Right.
We don't. We're happy if we pick it up on rugby stuff, which is a New Zealand thing. That's about it. Or Just how it is. Plus, there's those little notes on the ESPN app of NFL fantasy. This player's hurt. You might want to drop him.
Yes, that's helpful too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That does not exist on any of these platforms right now.
No, they don't have that kind of upfront honesty about it because it's a different.
No.
They don't have that collective bargaining, so it's like injury news is very scarce, and like so a guy would be like, "Oh, he's out for the year," we think, and then like 5 weeks later, all of a sudden he's starting again. You didn't hear
He's
a whiff
healthy.
of,
It's like, where the
he's
fuck
out.
did
Yeah,
that
it's like
come
what the
from?
fuck.
Yeah.
So, yeah, or you think a guy like, yeah, we think he's good. We think he's good. Then they drop him before a match and he's gone for 4 weeks too. It's like the same. It's the same kind of like uncertainty. You don't know. Like when we talk about, they drop players right up to match time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big impact. How many matches? And again, it's one of those that goes both ways. But you always remember the ones you lost because somebody that wasn't playing.
Yep, very easy to remember those ones usually. Get the other
When you
ones.
win them, you're like, good. That asshole deserved to lose because you got
Exactly. Difficult in many ways. News is hard. All those things. Our dog is joined.
All right, you have another Twitter question?
Yeah, we got other Twitter questions for sure.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on the future of Prem and URC fantasy. With the seeming demise of FRD and TRM, what would make the ultimate fantasy competition? If Super Brew were putting something together, and there's a long list, we won't go into it.
Right.
But it's very long and detailed, which I kind of don't disagree with. So we'll go through our, what we have to say.
Right. Yeah, that's from Alex. Thanks, Alex.
Right.
He's our dude. So you and I talked about this on one of the last fantasy pods. Like, Super Brew has a nice backing to it because it does so many other fantasy things. So I think if they're going to be the show, that's great because number one, we're probably not going to pay for anything to use it, which was the unfortunate demise of FRD. Started having to be charged for it, which sucked. I think if it's only the current format that they have, that's going to be tough. But if they're willing to expand into other things like salary cap, like draft things, they have the backing for it, so they could do it. And I hope they do. And I gave them my hopeful 2 cents on a survey that they asked about for at the end of, I think it was the end of Six Nations.
Yeah,
I hope it did not fall on deaf ears because they could be the thing that keeps us going for a little while until this becomes a bigger thing.
Right.
Because right now we're grabbing at straws at the moment. That sucks.
Right. And to me, first off, there has to be one. There has to be, the Prem has to have something.
Yeah.
And URC, like you can't not have a fantasy game and be like a real big boy sport. Let's put it that way. Even though like the fucking, I mean, and I know it's it's some popular like elsewhere, but like there's what was it? There's fantasy NASCAR. There's like fantasy
Formula One.
Yeah, racing. Like you got to be like, come on, man. Like, and they have compelling.
And let's just pick a driver and off you go. That's all. That's
right.
all that is.
And that's why, like, that's why there has to be, to me, like, at the very least, something like a TRM, something like where it's communal, where you can just have your team, and you can also look at other players and be like, okay, what are they doing? That the top players, what are they doing? You can't learn from that, and shit. That's such a great way to learn about the league too, for like kids, bringing them in. Like, oh, I thought I picked all my favorite team, but okay, your team sucks, so you have to have to change it up.
That's Jared's number one point about how to get youth involved. He said there has to be a fantasy league so then people can get into it, get excited. You get them in young, they can watch their favorite players. It's one of his 5-point plans of how to grow the sport.
Yeah,
it's a big one in this day and age. It's it makes so much money for a reason. So, you can do the draft leagues, which I think are great too. That's much more of, as we're saying, a real competition. But to me, the community aspect of, because you remember how poker was big for like a little, with like rounders came out and like the World Series of Poker was on, like they had you turn on ESPN.
Yeah, it still is.
And it was like, you could go through it any hour of the day. Some ESPN channel was playing poker. But it's like it's fucking boring when it's not you playing.
Right.
Like draft fantasy is kind of the same. You can be like, oh, I had, so and so, and they did this, and it's like, yeah, it's a cool story, but ultimately, like, I have these guys who are doing pretty awesome myself, and that's what I really care about. And like, but like when it's all a team, when it's, oh, I'm in this competition and fucking Squidge is in it and other Prem players are in it for a goof, like
remember that happening last year, yeah.
that's cool. Do that, and then you shut it down. And so they need something like that. Because that really would have yeah.
Well, I think
I'd love to see Jamal Ford Robinson's team. I want to like have,
right.
like,
yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. I think to your point, it's good to have both because you have the salary cap because, like, for example, Fantasy Premier League soccer, like so many people just casually play that league, and sometimes it's a set and forget it, and you never change your team the rest of the year, and that's fine, but they remember those players for a reason. And so to have the casual fan use something like that would be great. And then you have the nuts like you, me, Mark, Carrick, George, that want something draft wise that you can just really dig into and dive into and compete with each other for, because it's head on head, it's one on one. You can shit talk each other, you can bargain trades and all that shit. And that's fun for people like you and me. So
yeah,
I think having both has huge advantages, and again, that's why I hope Super Brew did listen a little bit, and hopefully they're cooking up something. I know they're working on World Cup. After that, I have no idea.
Yeah, but it's got to be something to bring them in because the Prem needs it too. They need more butts in the seats, and that need more attention, eyes on it. And you got to do something to reach out to get it.
Right.
So
yeah,
kind of connected, not really, but what about the women's game? I know that sometimes they do fantasy for like the Women's World Cup, but I don't think it's regular for like regular seasons.
Six Nations.
Yeah, they do Six Nations too.
So like special events, but it's not regularly done for just like the season, right?
No, and I think
not at the moment.
That's also a little bit more difficult. And it will be, but I think it'll be good as the game becomes more professional, as the Prem. Now it's back to the Prem 15, I guess.
No, it's Women's Premiership now, I think.
Okay.
I think that's what it's called. Yeah. It's gonna be great. Looking forward to the new variation on it.
I'm wondering how much like the image and likenesses stuff comes into play there. That's all. That's my question. Like how that might be less developed, and that might be a problem. Maybe not so much at the international level, but I'm not sure at that level if they've done player licensing and whatnot. And I don't know if that matters.
I don't know if it matters because
if you have players who don't have a professional contract, I don't know what.
Well, even for Six Nations, like most of those players aren't professionally contracted, but at least for a while they weren't. Certainly now they are. Not many of the Irish women are.
Organizations like the NCAA, they have policy about that kind of stuff. So I'm sure exactly. Right. So
I mean, and I'm not saying it's an excuse. I'm not saying that's why, but that's something they need to sort out because they need to start doing that too. Because the women's premiership would be excellent to have that. And if they have it before the Prem does, they'll pants them.
Yeah, they'll blow right by them. That's true. They'll blow right by him. Nobody will be happier about that than me.
Right.
No, that's true. Yeah, I think it'd be great. I want it to happen. Like they did World Rugby try to do some rudimentary World Cup league last year, but it was like I say we need something rudimentary and it's okay. That might have been maybe rethink that thought because it was pretty bad. Maybe something slightly more advanced than that. But other than that, like really it didn't need to be. They only counted tries and try assists and wins. I think that was really the only thing they were worried about, which isn't much.
Right.
So maybe a little bit more advanced than that, but really like anything beyond that is probably too much to get to the casual fan involved now. I think something more advanced down the line, again, for geeks like myself, Ben, George, so on, different, but something like that for just a casual fan to check in there and be like, yeah, I can do this. and make an app. That's the other thing great about Super Root. There's an app. I can do it on my iPad when I'm laying in bed and like, oh shit, I forgot to check my team for the morning. Boop, 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 done. Okay, go to bed. I don't need to go open my laptop.
Right.
That was the biggest pain in the ass for some of that for a long time.
I was thinking about that for like you were saying, youth. Like you have to make it simple, right? You have to make it fun and simple and like a game.
Yeah, like I said, and that's the app is a part of that. Like kids don't want to go on their laptop; they want to go on an app on their phone. That's what they want to do.
Right. And if you wanted, hey, if I want to do my fantasy football, guess where I just do it on my fucking phone.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
I just do it on my iPad. Usually.
It's right there. Yeah.
Very easy.
So I'm gonna there's another question that I want to ask from the Twitters, and I'm gonna put an extra spin on it too. Because the first one will be pretty quick. And actually I'm gonna Jared, I don't think you and I should answer it. I think we should let Jess and Catherine answer this one. And the question is, when are you going to bite the bullet and launch your own fantasy rugby platform?
Okay, so my question that I've been thinking about to ask you guys is, if you were like king or queen for a day, what would be your perfect like fantasy rugby platform? So
see, that kind of goes to mine. My follow up too. Jess, when are we gonna build when
stick the server in the basement?
I would say when there's more time taken from some other rugby. It gets a little rough when fall and spring roll around and there's also coaching involved. So it's a lot of rugby all the time. And if you're not doing something rugby, you're watching something rugby. So I think that would be it sounds to me like it would be a huge undertaking. Neither of you, I think, know how to develop an app. So you would probably have to take, I'm guessing, some sort of class or something about that first. So
I need to probably go take a few courses on it.
Buy a software. So
just hire a Zoomer for a day or so and they'll give us
something like that.
My requirement for it would be that we win the lottery or something, so we have a steady income while you take all the time to set it up and create it and get the data and tweak it.
to me, I'm buying TRM and picking that back up and adding features to it. Like as you said, like definitely adding features to it, calling in somebody who knows programming and code and working with them. Like
Ed,
and be like, no, we're doing this. Yeah. But
it's a good lad. He'd do it.
So my thought is, so we've had there's the two major platforms that we have had between TRM and FRD. In my opinion, that the TRM is heavily weighted towards forwards, and FRD is heavily weighted towards backs.
The scoring system is, the
scorings, yes. I want to propose ways to make a balance. And figure out a way to, because like the backs don't get enough love for their passes or for kick meter for their just general. Well, I guess they do get kick meters.
I think it was only in TRM if you had a kicker, if you made them your kicker, that was it. And you only got 1 point for like 100.
It was like 100 meters.
Like
yeah,
it was a lot.
I'd kind of change that. I was thinking about like you get your yards or your meters per carry. So like if you have a big lumbering you have a Johnny Hill type who gets like
2 meters a carry,
15 carries, but 2 meters. He gets a very low, but he'll still get enough tackles that'll balance it out. But then you get a Harry Arundel who gets a nice 70-meter run. Okay, well he gets a couple other carry, blah blah blah, that all evens out, but he still gets like 20. That's 20 points right there, like that. Because the forwards were getting like 40-point games and like barely running or so. It depends on the position too. Like I think there's got to be a way to balance it to make it so that each position is more, because like what the fuck do flankers matter in like FRD? Very
unless they're Tom Pearson, not much.
Right.
Or Benro.
Yeah,
So
there's
can
like a
you,
couple that are worth it, but
explain it to me, like how did they, one gave you points for carries and one gave you points for meters?
No points
So-
for carries, but
no,
meters were the big one.
but like TRM had a thing where it was if you made more than 5 tackles and you had 100% tackle rate, it was like a 5 or like 10-point bonus, something like that. 5-point bonus.
Yep.
So like, and every tackle and like forwards, like, heavy forward play, especially the guys in tight, you're looking at 20 tackles or whatever. And I think for like, especially for like props or the front row and for locks, it was like something like a point every meter or 2 meters or something.
So props
like
were a point every meter, and I think locks were
Yeah.
a point every 2.
2. Yeah.
That sounds right.
So you'd see like a lock go for a fucking 20-meter run, and that's your day made.
Yep.
For him. So
like, especially when like Jean-Luc Dupria was
lock eligible.
you could put him at flanker. It's like, oop, this is a cheat code now.
I favor those. My platform would absolutely have cheat codes like that.
Well, yeah, you gotta always have some sort of loop.
I mean, he was always a lock, but yeah, right. Like Rory Jennings at halfback kind of thing. Like, it doesn't make any sense, but okay.
Yeah, it works.
Doing it.
Well, I think TRM had the right idea with trying to designate certain scores for certain positions. That does help, but you're right. It was very defensive forward heavy in a lot of ways, with especially with the 5-point bonus, which I get what they were after, but I don't think they considered how many in tight 5 forwards were going to hit that more often than not.
Right.
And then you have a back in space who, like Chris Harris, for example, would have been the worst one for this, unfortunately, because what he did as a defender always helped Gloucester, but it too often it went down as a missed tackle for him because the back cut back inside on him, which is what he wanted them to do, but he also maybe got a paw on him but missed, so it went down as a missed tackle, and that hurts.
It does. So there's a little it hurt the tacklers in space, and they didn't really get much of a bonus because there was no the meters were kind of a little unbalanced, and because like backs don't generally get like there's some that get like a huge amount, but there's some that only get like 5 to 10 sometimes,
especially midfielders,
right? But then so they just don't get anything.
And
so it's kind of like
fullback like Alex Good, who doesn't go that far that often,
right? And then in fantasy rugby draft, you get it's mostly meters and points, like when you score tries, when you try assists. Forwards don't. I mean again, TRM had that too, but again, the tackling is devalued in FRD, and there's no bonuses.
No, you miss a tackle, and if you miss a tackle, you're in trouble. That's like -3 to the player scored, and player score, and you're hoping for 10 some weeks, 10 to 12 some weeks, and when you get a -2, that's already put you in a rough spot. So it's like, all right, there's a balance somewhere in the middle. I agree. And you can, but I liked the option that both formats offered, which was change the scoring to this, which I think was box scoring, which they were something like that should always be. And because we were talking about NFL before, like you can change the scoring to whatever the fuck you want in NFL fantasy. Like I could go in there and make everything 100 points no matter what you do, and it's just going to light up the scoreboard. It's going to probably break it. And I think some element like that needs to be brought in where, all right, we're going to, obviously it needs to be agreed upon by your league. Like, yes, we're going to value whatever it is for certain points. And we're going to value turnovers, which is stupid, but you get my point. So I king for a day. We get it done. Other than that, never happening.
So last Twitter question. I have an idea. The World Cup of Fantasy. One NFL league, one IPL league, one FPL league, one US Masters League, one F1 league, plus Six Nations Super Brew and a Super Rugby Draft League. Details sorted out, blah, blah, blah. What do you think of the concept? I mean, it sounds like a Champions League, and I would absolutely support it, except the one thing, because if you're going to do this, you're going to do it right, and you're going to include the original fantasy sport, because you cannot, and you deserve this, by the way. You absolutely deserve this if you do this. I will step away from it. I think it's a fantastic idea that I would like to see someone else do. You have to have fantasy Major League Baseball in there.
True.
Because that's what started it all. And you deserve to have to look at your team every fucking
day.
Yeah.
None of this. Cricket, so
right,
it's kind of similar.
Yeah, none of this. Oh, I'll look at I'll
check my team Thursday night or Thursday.
I'll check
afternoon.
my team at come waiver wire, because I got to get that under there, and as teams come out and all that. No. This is every day you're looking at it.
No, it's a grind. I remember
that. I brought this up with Jared at the beginning of this season, like, hey, maybe it'll be fun to be fantasy baseball. And he's like, I cannot do this every day. And it's like, no, we can't. Okay.
No, it's hard. Yeah, it is hard.
But
I'd be down for it, but I have to be in the right mindset. And
right. You can't do a World Cup. And if you're doing a World Cup, you deserve it. You need to do it.
Yeah.
You have to.
You want to find the person that's going to be most committed. That is going to be the game that shows it right there.
Yeah.
Who can switch their team in and out, make sure that all their players are starting that day, or at least most of their lineup is starting that day. Good luck. It's hard. It is definitely painfully hard, but it's if you can do that, you win. You win at life. Well, you live it. You win at fantasy life, put it that way.
Yeah.
Not so much life. You might have a loser. Right. That's okay. We love you anyway.
I worry about in the real world.
Real world, you might kind of suck, but that's okay. Oh yeah, I don't know. That was
so. And then one more from me, again for the ladies, as I do. How do you feel about your husbands doing this?
I am pretty impressed that Jared started it, roped you in, and has kept it going for 200 episodes. I mean, I think you guys have talked about it, but when it first started, it was, I want to go back and listen to the original, just Jared there.
Yeah, just Jared.
No, we don't want that.
Let's go back to the deep cut. And then before COVID, when you both used to do it in our dining room, and I would be locked in the bedroom, I was not allowed to make noise. So
Yep.
And I can't believe there's people that we don't know that listen to this. So I'm pretty impressed with you both for keeping it going and growing the online community for it too.
I appreciate the positivity. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the commitment is definitely impressive. I don't really mind, like, you have your thing. It's good to have hobbies.
What is this? This is nothing more than that.
Super duper connected to your other hobbies. I think it does sometimes send you into like too much rugby, like I said. It's just like, because there's all the watching that goes into beforehand. So it's like, you're up on weekends and stuff like that doing like the research for it. So it's a lot. And I don't know anything about the different seasons and like when things end and stuff like that. So I'm always just like, how much longer is it going to go? And I think it's a little hard to do this. Like I said before, like during, say, coaching season. It's just, it's like rugby, literally. You could, it's like you were saying with fantasy baseball, it's like literally every day.
Yeah.
Yep. Can't confirm. Having just got off the high school season where I went to practice every single freaking day, sans the 1 week where we were off, and not Sundays, but that's about it.
I mean, I feel like there's some days when you get tired of it. Maybe there's the days when you have to watch 8 or however many games, and before you and Ben split them, it was a job.
Well, before we split the fantasy stuff, like it was a hassle. Like, and then I was like, all right, there has to be a way that I can rope Dum here in to help me with this, because this is becoming a gigantic burden that I cannot carry on my own. And I dropped a couple other commitments that I had. I left the exec board and whatever, and I would rather do this. I had more fun doing this than I did the exec board. So of course I'm not gonna drop this, but at the same time, it's like, this boulder's getting a wee bit heavy. I need somebody to take this off. Okay, here, thanks.
And that's why you're not starting your own platform.
Yeah, that would be Yeah, no, you wouldn't see me for months at a time, that's for sure. I'd be hidden somewhere in a deep hole, and it would not be fun. No.
I also think that like building platforms is not Ben's strength. He's better at just talking. He's a good talker. So stick with your strength.
All right. I will talk. I don't know. I guess I'm good at talking.
Talk.
It's a strength. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. You got that down. Well, yeah. I said this last time, like I was encouraged by the response that we got in the first season, even though it was complete like dumpster fire that we were running through, but
totally. It's gotten better. It's got actually, and that's actually kind of interesting. It has gotten we've gotten a lot better since that certainly the first one.
We better, because that was pretty bad, number one, but number two, like if we're not at least trying, then what the fuck are we doing? Like,
right,
we're spinning our wheels for an hour and a half at a whack, and then plus all the other shit we do. Like, ain't worth it. Might as well try, if we don't try that hard, at least we try.
Right. But I would like to formally and in front of the entire world, I would like to thank you two for letting us do this without too much grief. It's enjoyable. I love the opportunity just to sit and talk rugby with Jared. It's kind of cool that we've turned it into a little podcast thing. That's going for 200 episodes, but this wouldn't have happened without you guys
putting up with it.
Well, yes, certainly allowing it and being and more than that, being supportive. I feel that you have both been very supportive of this, not just allowing us. I think allowing is too unkind. It's not kind enough. You guys have been great.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, it's been. There are days when she's like, "You really doing this today?" I'm like, "Yes, I got it. Don't worry." But there are simply like stupid days where I'm jammed up, and she's like, "I got dinner. Don't worry." And that is like, it's for a podcast, for fuck's sake. Like, who the fuck would do that? Like, there are 10,000 other people that would be like, "Fuck you, cook dinner, and then you can do that." That's how it is, and that's why we appreciate you guys for being the way you are, because there are a lot of people that would be like, "You're out of your mind. No way, I'm not letting you do that." It's going to take up way too much of your time. See above,
right?
And no way, it's not happening. So we are blessed and lucky that you both understand and let us do this for many reasons.
Now I feel bad. I make Ben buy me Chipotle.
Oh, that's easy.
Wednesdays are Chipotle night.
Button, bang.
That's why I'm like, what are you ordering? Let's go.
It's truly the worst thing. It's the worst thing ever. I hate ordering Chipotle.
Sometimes I even
As
get
his
guacamole.
So that like, it's one of those. Wait a minute, I get to order.
It's a trade-off.
And
exactly.
like, okay,
and I get to do this. Okay, cool.
Yeah, like you said before, Ben, it's like, oh, you're gonna go in there for an hour. I guess I'll have to watch TV.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not terrible to have a night apart.
Yeah, it's like when Jess is like has to do some schoolwork or something like that. It's like, oh well, I guess I'm just gonna have to play Zelda out here. I don't know.
Exactly.
Oh well. Oh no.
The Xbox is calling my name.
Yeah.
Homework.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's all right.
All right. Do you think you should end with some predictions? Like, what do you think episode 300 will be like, or where will fantasy rugby be by episode 300?
Which will be in like 2 to 3 years.
Be in a very dark place or a very good place. One of those two.
Yeah, really, there's probably not a lot of between. Unfortunately, it's either going to be basically dead and we won't get to 300, or
how many teams will be in the Premier League?
8 at this rate. It'll either be like somebody's got to figure this shit out to begin with, but it'll either be soaring or it'll be freaking flopped, and Ben and I will stop this probably.
Yeah,
honestly, that's the sad but harsh truth. Like that's probably there's probably no between really.
Right. All I know is we're getting to episode 201.
Yeah. which will be next week.
That's right. 1 week at a time.
Right.
That's all we can do, really. Like, well, especially back when, like, in that COVID long length season, it was like freaking. I think there was 60 episodes that season because everything was just so strung out. Because we started back up talking about it just because you and I needed something to do because COVID lockdown, see above.
Right.
And then Super Rugby came back. Then Super Rugby Australia came back, and then we started talking about Prem, and then Champions Cup started coming back, and we were like,
because they did like the end of the Prem season, and then like a quick, like ridiculous short turnaround to the next season.
Yeah,
it just never ended. It was like a season and a half all at once.
Yeah, we did the previous season and ended that season, and then we had like 3 weeks where we didn't do anything. We didn't talk shit. Although, and I watched a little bit of rugby. I actually passed on some of it, honestly. And then we had another season to freaking rebound to and stretch out again. It's like, holy shit, stop me here. Yeah, that was that the end of that? I think was when Quins beat Chiefs in the final. And I was like, we're done for a little while.
Yeah,
we're good.
Yep.
We're good.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like even this season, I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I could use a little bit of a break.
Absolutely,
but it still doesn't feel like a chore.
No.
So that's nice. It's again, it's a conversation that I get to have with, my best friend, and it goes out to the world.
Yep. Enjoy it whether you like it or not.
Right.
Here it is, whether you're really ready for it or not. Here we go. Yeah. We'll get into we'll probably dive into it like first week of September this year because of Rugby World Cup, and we'll preview that, and then we'll dig into Prem as the year goes, because I don't think Prem's starting until October.
Right, it's starting late.
Yeah, which is
I don't mind.
Hopefully this time we don't have a fucking pandemic that just makes it feel like the World Cup didn't happen.
Yeah, that
pretty much what happened. 2019 World Cup. That winter we had the pandemic.
Right, like it took me a little bit because I was like, holy shit, I remember like a very specific time on that. Yeah. Like it was the World Cup time when I was down in New York for a wedding, and Ben Garner got red carded a minute into the game, and all that was happening. I was like, holy shit, that was 2019. Like that was that long ago. Fuck.
Yeah, let's try and avoid that whole thing happening again, please.
Yeah, let's not do that.
I did not like that. All right, cool. We've been babbling for about 50 minutes. Look at that. How about that? But yeah, so if you're listening to this and are waiting on the final ep, it'll be out next week, so stay tuned. Other than that, thank you both for letting us do this, and thank you both for coming on and giving people living proof that we're not lying. There are people that live with us and can stand us most of the time, at least.
Jess, can you read out a headline from today's newspaper so that people know this is
not holding them hostage?
Yeah.
I can read for you from crafting and executing strategy. That's all I got right
now. But yeah, so thank you both. Thank you to everyone that's listened to us and has listened to us for all 200 or most of 200 episodes. Don't blame me if you skipped a few.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ben and I will be back for the season finale next week. We appreciate you all for hanging out and listening to us. Have a good one, everyone.
Later.
Cheers.